Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Andrea and I have been selling on Etsy for 8 years. This YouTube channel is just where we talk about Etsy, what it's like to be an Etsy seller, best practices, how to grow your shop, basically all the good Etsy things. So if you are looking for that, you are in the right place. Today specifically, we are going to be talking about things I wish I could change about Etsy. Not things I wish I could change that I did, though there is certainly a full video's worth of content on that, but things that I wish I could change about the Etsy platform itself. Okay, so like I mentioned in that little intro spiel, I have been selling on Etsy for 8 years. So I have, actually over 8 years, I have quite a lot of experience with the platform, and I've seen it change a lot. Back in the day, it was a very different platform than it is now. Basically, I'm saying that it's not like I don't use Etsy. I use it quite a bit. I have quite a bit of experience with just using the Etsy platform as a seller. This video is going to be obviously from the seller perspective. Just things I wish I could change about the software, things I wish I could change about Etsy overall from my perspective. I want to start the video by saying that over the past 8 years, they have changed a lot and made a ton of changes that I have really, really liked. Overall, I really, truly, firmly believe that it is a really amazing platform to be on. I think it's great for handmade sellers who want to go on and sell items quickly, and it's good for traffic. I'm a firm believer in Etsy. Overall, I give it a very high rating. I really, really like it. So don't let just the negative of this video, because we are talking literally about the things that I could change. Don't let that cloud your opinion of what I think of Etsy, which, to be honest with you, I will not leave Etsy anytime soon. There's no comparison in my opinion. And I really, really, really do like it. However, this video is a video about the things I wish I could change about Etsy. Okay, so the first thing that I wish I could change is kind of a broad category, but I just really think that Etsy could do a little bit better. I mean, maybe they can't. I know that I'm not a software engineer, so coding is not like my wheel. I don't know anything about code, so maybe this is all way harder stuff that I think is in my head. Maybe it's I think it's easy and it's actually really, really hard to code out. I totally understand that being the case, but there's just a lot of things that are either glitchy or just don't really make sense. So I made a list. You should be able to, one, this has driven me nuts since the day I started selling on Etsy. Literally since the day I started selling on this platform, I'm like, why is this not a feature that's available? You should be able to edit an address for an order before you actually go in to ship it. I cannot tell you how many times I've had to reprint labels and refund them, because whenever you're, at least for my workflow, I'm not really looking at the order sheet whenever I'm filling out the details, because I don't need to, because it's all right there. And so it's really, really, really hard, even with a private note or scribbling huge on the order sheet, to remember to edit that address when you're making the shipping label. It's always driven me nuts that whenever someone comments and says, hey, can I change my shipping address? I can't just go in and change it right away. I don't know why that's not possible. I think you can do that on Shopify. It doesn't seem like it'd be that hard, and it seems like a very logical, easy fix. That literally drives me nuts. It always has. The next thing that absolutely is so frustrating, again, I love Etsy. I don't want you to hear all of the frustrating parts and be like, she hates it. I love Etsy. But there are a lot of bookkeeping glitches. It's basically if you've ever gotten a 1099 from Etsy, you know it can be really, really hard to make it balance out. I don't know if anyone else checks this. I check my 1099 from Etsy, but it can be really, really hard for it to make sense. I think the thing that we landed on, me and my mom have both taken very long, hard looks at this and cannot figure out the 1099. We think that the problem is that they don't pull items that you refund from your 1099, maybe. Basically, the 1099 thing is really, really glitchy. I'm putting it under the glitchy, just doesn't make sense category, because it's really, really hard. My mom has been bookkeeping for 40 years for her and my dad's business. It's not like she's not experienced as what she did for a living before she retired. And the 1099 stumps us both. The 1099 that Etsy gives is just very confusing. And so that is really frustrating come April, literally every year, when we're just scratching our heads trying to figure out what the heck went wrong with the 1099 that Etsy gave. So Maybe you're watching this and you're like, I've literally never checked it, but they're just really hard. It's never like a huge difference, but they are really hard to make the math come out on, if that makes sense. The last glitch that really bothers me is like the sales and coupons glitches. So like there's like for the longest time I had that email campaign set up where if someone favorites an item, it sends them a 10% off coupon. It never sent ever. And I'm like, I know I'm getting favorites. I get the notifications. Why is it not sending? And there's just little glitches like that. Obviously that's not a huge deal. That's a service that they provide us. I mean, like, the bookkeeping thing needs to be right. This one's like, okay, like sure, Etsy, you know, it's not like I would never leave the platform over any of these things, but I do wish that their sales and coupons weren't so glitchy. These just feel like things that e-commerce sites, even low cost ones like Etsy, like I understand that Etsy is basically free, very low cost, and it's part of the reason why I love it. It just feels like these are like kind of kinks that they should have worked out. Okay, the second category of things. So the first category was kind of like glitchy stuff that just doesn't make a ton of sense that I wish would be better. The second thing that I really, really wish I could see from Etsy is better customer service for their sellers, and then it's overall better seller relations. This is something that I have always wanted to see from Etsy. It's basically my dream job to work for Etsy in Brooklyn and be like on their team as someone who just bridges the gap between Etsy HQ and sellers. So if you're an Etsy person that could hire me for that, send me an email. That is like my absolute dream job, to be someone who just kind of bridges the gap for sellers and Etsy HQ. As a seller, I don't know if they have a team of people that are doing that. It's something that I'm unaware of. And I'm not saying that they don't treat their sellers well. They really, really do. But if I don't know that I'm aware of like a specific thing where they're like actively reaching out to small sellers and large sellers and saying like, hey, other than like just forums of like feedback forums. But I would really like to see like a boardroom of people that are selling on the platform that say like, this is something that's really, really important. I hang out in Facebook groups with Etsy sellers all the time, and you just hear the horror stories of people where like Etsy just totally messed up and refunded orders that they shouldn't have refunded and stuff like that. And that is just really unfortunate. Obviously, it's scary. It's just something I wish I could see better of. And I will say in recent days, they have made a ton of changes that have been really awesome, but I would still just like to see some more. Yeah, I just would really like to see some more. I just have always dreamt of there being like a very, very strong relationship between Etsy HQ and their sellers. The third and final one for me, and honestly, this is the biggest thing I wish I could change about Etsy, like hands down, no doubt, if you get to change one thing, it would be this, hands down, biggest thing. I wish I could change their analytics and their stats. That is by far the most frustrating part about the platform. If you've ever looked into analytics or stats, you know that they are pretty minimal, like they're pretty slim pickings for the stats that you can't even see. And two, if you've ever done the math, you know that they are not accurate at all, which I know that the search thing says it's in beta, but it's not even like close to accurate. It says that, for example, my analytics page, my Etsy search analytics says that I only get 18% of my sales through Etsy search. I don't do any outside marketing. Basically all of my sales, like it's closer to 95. The number, I know that because I've done the analytics and stuff. It's closer to 95%. I don't even know where they're getting 18% from. Like literally it's very, very, very inaccurate to the point where I'm like, I've had students of my course message me and say, hey, like, look at this. I'm really thrown off by it. And I'm like, just completely throw it out the window. It's not accurate at all. But to me, I'm like, if it's going to be that inaccurate, don't even put it on the site. Like I know it says it's still in beta, but it shouldn't even be published yet because it's not accurate at all. I do not want to poo-poo all over the analytics that they do have. I just really, really wish that there were just more data and more accurate. I really, really think that this is something where like I and other sellers would massively appreciate if Etsy put the time and effort into it. Like when it comes to star seller, just leave it there and work on analytics. There's just nothing I would rather see more than robust and accurate analytics for my Etsy shop. To be honest with you, I understand that Etsy can't make a keyword tool and stuff like that. I get that, but it'd be really, really nice if I could have better analytics for my Etsy shop. Like, I can't even tell you how much that would help me, especially as someone who gets 95% of their sales from Etsy search. It would be so nice if I clicked on a listing and saw the keywords that brought it in. And I know you can do that, but I'm telling you they're not accurate, because I just know my numbers. I know better. And so I just really, really wish that they were a little bit more robust, more accurate analytics, just because that would really, really change the game for me, and I'm sure a lot of other sellers. So yeah, that is the biggest thing that I wish I could change about Etsy. I know that it's probably one of the things that's easier said than done, but I also know that like a lot of platforms have better analytics. So I do think it's possible, and I really, really wish that that could be the case. It would definitely take it to where like it would be a catalyst for a lot of shops. So that's what I was trying to say. It would be a huge catalyst for a lot of shops to have that data. I would just be tickled pink if they tweak their analytics. So that is the biggest thing I wish I could change. As we move into busy season, I will be using this platform like over and over and over again every single day. And so I'm sure there will be other things that I wish I had, and they'll come to my mind. But basically, I mean, we still use the platform every day, but basically I will be using it even more. And so there will be other things that come to mind, but those are the things like right off the gate that I have really, really wanted for a long time. I really love to see from Etsy. Again, I really, really do want to drive home that like on a scale of 1 to 5, my rating of Etsy would be like a 4.8. Like, these 3 things do not take away from the fact that they drive in billions of buyers to their platform every single year, and they are just great for providing like everything you need to get up and going and a ton of traffic to your shop if you just nail Etsy search. And so overall, it is an incredible platform. I absolutely recommend pretty much anyone who is able to sell on Etsy, so like handmade or vintage, anyone who is able to sell on Etsy to do it, because it is just an insanely good opportunity. I just absolutely love Etsy. However, when you love something, you might want to change it, not something. You might want to change it, improve it, make it better. And so these are the things that I would just love to see Etsy do. So yeah, that is the 3 things I really wish I could change about Etsy. If you are liking to talk about Etsy, wanting to grow on Etsy, normally we talk about growth strategies, day in the lives, all that sort of thing. If that's something you're interested in, make sure to subscribe to this channel and check out my free Etsy masterclass where we dive into optimizing branding and fulfilling all of your orders on Etsy. And yeah, make sure to check that out. It'll be linked in the description below. Thank you so much for watching.